Hi guys, my name is Tamara, and this is the first episode of the Caffeinated Craft Mamas podcast, a podcast where I talk about my knitting, crochet, and sometimes sewing adventures in Southwest Missouri, where I live with my partner Richard, our kids, and our dog. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's kind of cloudy and dreary here in Missouri. It wasn't supposed to rain, and it did, of course, right when Bub and I were running errands. So I wanted to talk really quick about why I started this podcast. The main reason I started it is I am a chronic project half finisher. By that I mean I will start a project, I will be loving that project, and then I get about halfway through it and I see something else that I want to cast on and I'm like, that's so pretty, I want it. And then I go start that project. And the project I was working on gets left behind. And I'm hoping that this podcast will help keep me accountable to have finished objects, to have things to share, and to work through the massive pile of stash that I'm trying to get through in 2021. So we're going to start with my favorite make of 2020 and what I'm currently wearing. This is my Free Your Fade shawl. It's a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is a garter stitch and eyelet row with a fade. Absolutely love this shawl. I wear it all the time. I actually started it last March, and then COVID happened and I kind of gave myself the ability to cast on whatever I wanted, and it got put by the wayside. And then my sister and her now husband announced that they were getting married, and these were their wedding colors. So the orange is Nitpicks Stroll Fingering in their pumpkin colorway. The purple is Nitpicks Stroll Fingering, but I'm not 100% sure what color it is. And then the tan here is, here I'll flip it back around. The tan is Silence in the Library by Bad Wolf Girl Studios. She is probably my favorite indie dyer. Though she's taking a break from dyeing because she's going back to grad school, but I was able to grab her January Yarn Club colorway. I'm really excited about it. And it does not count for fattening my stash for this year because I ordered it on December 31st. Thank you very much, Richard. Speaking of Richard, he's my partner, fiance, whatever you want to call it. We celebrated 7 years together last week, and my first whip is his. This is living in my Lila Styles bag. It's a machine embroidered bag. I love her bags. I have several of them. So these are a pair of just plain vanilla socks, Patons Kroy in the Blue Striped Ragg colorway. I'm knitting these on Chiaogoo Red Lace, US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles, 64 stitches. I did a Judy Becker's Magic cast on, and I haven't gotten very far in these because I've been working on another whip. We'll talk about that in a minute. Back in November, we had a real cold snap here, 20 degrees, snow, and that's really cold for around here, especially that time of year. And Richard was complaining about his feet being cold. And so I let him borrow a pair of my hand knit socks. And I'm like, seriously, these will keep your feet warm way better than any other socks. And he did not want to give them back. He did, but he did not want to. So I told him that this year I would knit him a couple of pairs of socks. These are going to be his Valentine's Day gift. So I've got plenty of time to work on them. If I really focus, I can get a pair of socks done in a week. I'm going to do an afterthought heel for these. He's got a really high arch like I do, so I like to add in a couple of extra rows before we do the afterthought heel. And he wants long socks. He prefers long socks. So I'm just going to knit as much as I can get. I have 2 balls of this, so it shouldn't be a problem. We'll put those up and grab a drink of my tea. Oh, I am drinking Bigelow's vanilla chai today. I'm trying to switch to tea in the afternoons because I was drinking way too much coffee and it was not good for me, nor was it healthy. So I'm trying to lower the amount of caffeine I'm drinking. While I love this vanilla chai, it is not quite what I wanted it to be. So if you have any suggestions for a good vanilla chai, let me know. That's available in the States. Okay. My next whip is a crochet whip. I'm going to try to have at least one crochet whip every podcast for you guys. I lost my Crojo about 2 years ago. I crocheted 7 shawls and 4 hats for family and friends for Christmas. And while they were well received and everyone loved them, I was so burnt out by the end of that year that I didn't want to see yarn. I didn't want to see a hook ever again. So it took me about 5 months to even pick up knitting again, and it took me about 1.5 years to pick up crochet. So this is just a corner to corner blanket. I had already started this blanket, and then my friend, who is a dear friend and I went to high school with, announced that she was having a baby boy, and I thought, you know what, this is in there, it needs to be done, it needs to be finished and done something with, so why not give it to her? So I am on the last panel of blue, and then I'll finish out with white, and I think I have enough of the blue to do a single crochet border and a double crochet border around the edge. It's just your basic corner to corner. I just increased until I liked how big it was and then started decreasing. You can find videos for this on YouTube. Super easy. I really enjoy it. It's a good blanket pattern for babies. In fact, not that she's a baby, because she's not, but I have a cousin that's graduating high school this year, and every cousin, when they graduate, gets a blanket made by me for them to take to college. And I purposefully do them in patterns like this so that they are the ones that they can throw in the back of their car, they can take to a football game, take on a picnic. I want them to be used. So hers, it will actually be probably my next crochet whip after this. Okay, and this is living in a Joann's Squeeze the Day lemon bag. I'll pop that over there. My third whip is my test knit. I'm test knitting a sweater for Nicole of Farm Fresh Knits on Instagram. This is her long walk cardie. It is a bottom up cardigan. It's about thigh length. I've got the sleeves done. So it starts down here at the ribbing with this really neat, where the ribbing comes to a point, and then there's these really pretty eyelets all the way up the sleeve. I do have 2. I'm knitting this out of Lion Brand Wool Ease in the color Oxford. So I've got 2 sleeves. I have not cast on the body yet. That is my plan for this evening before Richard gets home. So I'm really enjoying this test knit. It has been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see how the body goes. I've never done a bottom up cardigan or sweater before, so it should be an interesting construction. My third whip is the Coastal Confessions cowl by Brittany of Miss Maker Designs. First, let's talk about the bag. I made the bag. I participated in the Wizarding Mal last year that was hosted by Crochet Luna, Claudia of Crochet Luna, and Hannah of Cozy Cottage Crochet. And it was a bag and sock making, knit along, crochet along, whatever you wanted to do. And I made this bag for that. So it's not perfect, but I'm really proud of it because it was one of the first bags I made. So here is the cowl, and her Coastal Confessions cowl is a brioche cowl. I wanted to learn how to do brioche. She was giving this pattern away for free along with some Instagram story tutorials on how to do it. So she walked you through everything step by step. I really enjoyed this pattern. I learned a lot. I learned how to do a provisional cast on. I had never done that before. I learned how to do brioche, as you can see. And then I'm getting ready to learn how to do an I-cord bind off. I've never done an I-cord bind off before. So like I said, I'm really enjoying this. It's kind of just been sitting since Christmas. I had planned to finish it before the new year. This was the only whip from 2020 that I brought with me. So I just need to sit down, turn on a Very Pink Knits tutorial about how to do an I-cord bind off, finish this up. These are in the school colors that my mom teaches. My mom teaches kindergarten, and these are her school colors, and I made it for her to wear to recess, because if it's above 32 degrees in Missouri and it's not raining, they go outside. So she needs something warm around her neck. So I'd like to get that finished before next podcast, so that one, I can gift it to her, and two, you guys have a finished object and I have an empty project bag. Okay, I have one more whip, and I finally jumped on this bandwagon. I was a little late to the party, but we'll see how long it takes me to finish it. This is the Cozy Memory Blanket by Shelley Dupont. So I will show you. Start over here. Now, I only work on this blanket on Sundays. I do Scrappy Sundays, like Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. I knew who that was. And so I only work on these on Sundays. Typically, recently, we've gone to my parents' house for brunch, and then we come home and we lay down and we watch a movie and just kind of have a lazy Sunday afternoon. So I will typically try to knit 1 or 2 squares. I knit several of these after I finished all my Christmas presents last year. I got several minis in the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted campaign this last year, and so I just kind of really wanted to work on this. So I did. I try really hard to, or I have been trying really hard to follow what Meg of Bad Wolf Girl Studios says. Your crafting should bring you joy. And if it's not yes, it's no. And this was a hard yes for a while. It's still a hard yes. I still want to be working on it, but I have other projects that are taking priority. So I like the fact that I have set aside Sunday just to work on this. And I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Here, I'll just lift them up. But I have a ton. This isn't even nearly all of them. Just a bunch of minis. It takes 8 grams for me to make 1 square. That is one thing I will say about this pattern, is I wish I had done what one of my friends had done and not cast on quite as many stitches, because it does take 8 grams for me to get a square out of a mini. So I have to get 10 grams or more for that mini to work out, or I received some 5-gram minis, and I'm just gonna magic knot them together and just put them both in the square. So I'll remember, oh, those were the 5-gram minis I opened from Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted. And then whatever does not go in there, like this ball. This is on the other side by Bad Wolf Girl Studios. Again, you'll hear her name a lot on here. Once I get this square in, it will go into a magic knot ball that I have back in my craft stuff, and then eventually I would like to start a granny stripe blanket with that. That way I'm using up every yard of the hand-dyed yarn, because I still have a pretty small yarn budget. It doesn't look like it when you look at Stash Editions, but I do have a pretty small yarn budget, and I want to make sure that I'm being mindful and using every ounce of this that I can. So, all right. So let's talk about why Stash Editions isn't going to be a regular part of the podcast. I have, at the beginning of this year, or the end of last year, end of 2020, I decided to clean out my yarn. And I have enough yarn for all of this. So, and these patterns are subject to change, but I have enough for 9 sweaters, including 3 baby sweaters, and I'm pretty sure I could probably get 5 baby sweaters out of it if I was really mindful of my yarn management. 2 blankets, 12 charity projects, and 16 pairs of socks. I knit 15 pairs of socks last year in 2020. I was really proud of myself, and I gave a good portion of those away. And from October to about March, I try really hard to wear hand dye or hand knit socks exclusively. And I need more socks for myself. I have about 8 pair. So I'm doing laundry. I'm hand washing my socks about once a week. So I would like to knit 16 pairs of socks this year, and half of those go to me. Half of those will be gifts. I'd like to talk a little bit now about future knits, and I've got some patterns here. My first one is by Meg of Bad Wolf Girl again. This is her Dino Roar Mini, and this is a color work yoke top-down pattern, and I think William would look just darling in one of these. I have some leftover worsted weight yarn. I'm going to swatch for this as soon as I get that Coastal Confessions cowl done and knit one of these, and I will probably knit one for my friend's new baby too, and possibly her daughter too. How cute would that be if they had matching sweaters? My next one is the Salem Sweater by Trysten Molina of Dragon Horde Yarns. I was blessed enough to snag this pattern when she was giving it away in November. She gave away for one day free copies of this pattern, and I was able to snag one. I try really hard to support pattern designers. I think it's great. I test a lot of patterns. I think it's amazing what they can do, but I can't always afford to buy them. So it was really cool that Trysten gave those away. The only other pattern that I think is on future knits right now would be a pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks, but I'm going to flip the pattern. I knit toe-up socks pretty much exclusively. I've knit one pair of cuff-down socks. I absolutely could not stand it. I knit them on DPNs. They were my first pair of socks, and while I love them and I treasure them, I will never do that again. So I'm just going to flip the row repeats so that I start at row 4 and finish on row 1 and knit them that way. So we are going to finish up with stash additions because I think William might be waking up, so we need to hurry. Or I need to hurry. You guys don't need to hurry. So like I said, stash additions will not be a normal part of the podcast. I am waiting on one more skein of yarn that will be here next month. Bad Wolf Girl did a January yarn club. I was able to grab one, but even then that won't be something that I do every month because I've got to get through some of this yarn. So the first one I want to talk about is Nitpicks Felici, and I actually snagged this on a D-stash. We are huge nerds in this house, and this year, specifically, my daughter, Jade, really loved Nightmare Before Christmas, and so I was able to snag, I didn't even know they had made this, 2 skeins of the Sally Colorway that they made. I'm not sure when they made this. Like I said, this is not something that you can get on their website right now. I grabbed it on a Ravelry Destash, and I'm going to knit myself a pair of Halloween socks out of this. Jade has some sensory issues, and we have never tried to knit her. I have never tried to knit her a pair of socks, but if I have enough left over, we might try to get her a pair out of this. She wears leg braces, SMOs, so I'm not sure if she could handle wearing hand knit socks with those. They may just have to be like house slippers, but we'll see. Next is a prize that I won from the Scrooge Sock Cowl on Instagram. And it was through Crystal. I don't remember her Instagram handle. I will either put it on the screen or link it down below. This is I Knit 2 Purl 2 yarns. This is their Supa sock in the Swirly Twirly Gumdrops colorway. It is 463 yards for 100 grams. Aren't those colors just gorgeous? These are not colors I would have picked for myself, but I love it so much. I'm really excited to knit these. And it also came with a Maker's Haven knitting jewelry, along with some tea and emergency chocolate. So thank you, Crystal, for that. and I'm really excited about this. I never win anything, so it was super exciting to hear I had won. Okay, and we've got one more stash edition. This actually came today. This is Mint Rain hand-dyed yarn, mintrainyarns.com. On her Tough Sock 75/25, 437 yards for 100 grams. This is her platform 9 3/4 colorway. I have a 9 and 11-year-old, and they are very big into Harry Potter right now, so I thought this would be fun. And then this, which is the one that caught my eye to begin with, she had a sale on her ready to ship, and this was one of them. This is her Diagon Alley, and I just love those deep purples and those blues. I'm so excited to cast this on. So, those will be coming soon. Okay. If you would like to follow me on social media, I am honestly only on Instagram. I am caffeinated_craft_mama on Instagram. I just post pictures of my yarny adventures. Sometimes my kids are in them, sometimes they're not. And that's about it for today. We'll talk more next week. I hope you, well, not next week, probably in 2 weeks. I'm going to try to do these podcasts every 2 weeks. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.